This is episode 4 of Talk Magic to Me for April 2nd, 2014.
Welcome everyone to Talk Magic to Me, the critical discussion podcast that talks all things Disney. I am your Disney-rific co-host, Danielle, and with me are my lovely co-hosts. Introduce yourselves, guys.
I'm Jen.
I'm Prince Eric.
And I'm DJ Jazzy Jeff JD. What's cooking?
Oh, what's cooking?
Yeah.
Turkey?
Yeah, nothing right
Oh,
now.
I'm hungry.
Nothing right now. I had meatloaf.
Yeah, I was thinking about The Rock.
Food talk.
I had chicken.
Oh, God.
Jen, when was the last time you ate?
I don't remember.
my
Oh, that's bad.
We're-
That's bad.
Remember, this is the podcast where we starve our hosts just so we can record. No,
Always wanted.
just kidding. Other than being hungry, how is everybody?
Great.
Fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. You got opening day tomorrow. It'll be
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Very fun.
This is my week off from work.
Oh, is it really? Oh.
Yes,
Yeah.
my week off.
I heard Walt Disney likes turkey sandwiches.
Does he?
Or he
Oh.
did. I mean,
Yeah, I was
He
like,
already did.
yeah,
Another reason we need to be best friends.
you know.
Yes, being best friends
Who
with
doesn't
Walt.
want to be best friends with Walt Disney? Well, maybe not me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I don't think PL Travers wants to be best friends
Ah.
with Walt Disney.
nice way to
Oh.
bring that back. Ooh,
Now we're linked
nice.
back in.
I think
Oh.
somebody took your spot,
You're
Eric.
good.
oh yeah.
Making good puns.
My pun?
Man.
Yeah. So, well, I guess.
It only happens when I'm tired, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm the, yeah, punny.
Ha ha ha.
Oh. No.
Yeah, so I guess this episode will be releasing on Wednesday, obviously. So I wanted to wish you guys happy hump day.
Oh yeah.
Oh, don't do that to them.
No, happy hump day.
Hump
It's
Don't
a-
do that
day.
to our
Oh, do
fans.
people still do that? I guess people forgot about the Hump Day commercial. That was like really last
Oh.
summer.
Yeah.
the one
that's-
for Guy.
Yeah, the Geico Hump Day
Yeah.
commercial. That was such a
Yeah.
last year thing.
Okay, so last week we had a really great episode where we talked about Frozen, and we covered a lot. It was over 2 hours long, so that's pretty awesome. But still, we could talk about more, and so
Yeah, we got off, and Danielle and I were like, "Oh, what about all this stuff that we wanted to talk about?" So we have more to talk about.
yeah, we really do. I mean, because we really talked about the layout of the film, but we didn't really get into the more discussion-based topics.
Yeah.
So that will be.
I know there
Fun.
was one part that Danielle and I really talked about a lot that we really wanted to bring up, and for some reason we just kind of didn't.
It was late. We were
Yeah,
tired.
that's true.
Yeah, but that will all come next Wednesday, so be sure to be on the
It all
lookout.
comes full circle.
Exactly. So look out for that. But right now, we're going to move into our first well, actually, before we move into our first segment, I thought it'd be fun if I read some feedback that we have received throughout our few weeks on the podcast.
Ooh,
We have feedback?
yeah, we get
Yeah,
feedback.
Yeah.
Yo, dog.
We've got a bit, not much,
Yo.
but a bit.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't even know.
Bit. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got a lot saying that they loved our blog. A girl named Diamond Gamer says she loves our blog. Thank you for that. This was before the podcast came out.
Mm.
So reading a little in the past. That's an anonymous one, so I won't read that. Somebody said, just discovered your blog, and I'm already really looking forward to these podcasts. Can't wait to hear the first one. And that's from Lady of Arendelle.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Oh, I'm not gonna. I bet I.
He's gonna love
Yeah,
that
yeah, I
one.
bet I wouldn't. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna get along with her.
That's his favorite one right there.
Yeah. And then, second star to the right, XO, said, hey there, I actually just came across your page and immediately followed you because the word podcast immediately caught my attention. It's absolutely aspiring that you guys are hosting a Disney podcast. I look forward to seeing your page come up on my feed. Have a magical day.
Oh, that was a
Aw.
good one. I liked that
That-
one.
I like that.
That was
I
very
have a
nice,
magic
wasn't it?
Not bad.
That was our longest
I hope-
one, so.
Yeah.
Second star to the right, XO. We like you.
Yeah.
You should write to us more often.
Yeah, I really hope that person's listening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really
I
hope.
Answer our questions of the week.
I know, seriously. Come on.
Maybe that's our one person who keeps liking things.
Yeah.
Follow
You never
me
know. Our
on
one
Twitter.
fan. Thank you.
Yeah, seriously, follow Eric on Twitter. Let us know that you heard that episode.
Yeah,
What
I
was that,
know.
the intro?
One person followed me from that.
Yeah, and I'm going to mention her as well. I think I am.
Her name is
but-
Rachel.
I think so.
Rachel, I know that you're probably
Yes.
listening. Hi, Rachel.
Yes, she... let me see real quick. She is the one who favorites our posts on Tumblr.
Oh.
So when I posted our Frozen episode, let's see, Rachel Guy 72. We like you, Rachel, because you always like our things.
Yeah, and
you listen.
you
Alright.
followed me on Twitter, so...
Is she? What's her Twitter handle?
Rachel... something.
Isn't Rachel Guy 72?
Yeah, I know it says Rachel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Didn't she follow you too, Jen?
I'm gonna find out.
Yeah.
Yes,
Very nice.
I will follow her back.
Well
Follow
then.
you.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
And
Followers galore.
yeah, so thank you, Rachel. I think Rachel was one of the first people whatever.
Only person.
She reached out to us very, very first. I forget. Oh yeah, she's the one who asked us about the Android situation.
Ah, that's
Um,
right. You had a call.
So she does actually listen to us. then.
Yes. So
Mhm.
thank you,
Wow.
Rachel. And we have one more. Sakuraholic XOXO says, "Listen to you guys. You were awesome. So glad I am following you."
Oh,
That
very
was
nice.
very
No,
nice
that's
of you.
nice.
Thank
She listened
you.
to us, yeah.
Yeah. So, you guys, if you want to just give us feedback, please. We love hearing from you. It really brightens our day.
Yeah, there's a good chance you'll be on the podcast if you do.
Yeah. Pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Answer the
Right,
question of the week and you'll be guaranteed to be on the podcast.
Yeah,
Oh
seriously.
yeah, that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we want to hear from you about that because we need to get some more opinions in there. I mean, obviously, the four of us are running the show, but we really want this to be a community thing. We want to hear your feedback as well because we value it. It's important. Right, everybody? Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
I kid, yes.
Yes.
Yes. we
okay,
do.
thank you. CJD kids.
Yeah.
It's all in good
That's
spirits.
what I do.
Yeah, that's what you do. Very good.
It is.
So, moving on. Okay, so today's episode is about the new movie starring Tom Hanks and Emma Thompson called Saving Mr. Banks. Yay! And the movie documents the period of 2 weeks in which author P.L. Travers comes from England to L.A. to help script the movie Mary Poppins, based off her book with the same title. And it's really actually also Walt Disney trying to gain the rights of this novel so he can make it into a film.
Mm-hmm.
All that took place in 2 weeks? Wow.
It's, yeah.
I mean, not,
Well,
not the
actually-
flashbacks, but...
Well, no, of
I
course.
thought it was 2 years. It took them 2 years.
It took him 2
Unless the film was just 2 weeks.
Well-
Like,
Yeah,
they
the time when
filmed
she
it
was
as-
in Los Angeles, like in the hotel room, that was 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah.
Yeah, it did take 2 years, but her time there was 2 weeks.
Oh.
So now, before we get into our discussion, let us go to our first segment, which is On This Day in Disney History. So today, when our episode releases, this will be released on April 2nd, and the interesting thing is that in Saving Mr. Banks, when the movie first starts, they show a calendar, and the date is April 2nd.
Ah, I
Wow.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
Ironic,
awesome. I saw the
you know.
year, but I didn't pay attention to the date. That's
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I guess it was in my head the date, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, perfect.
Hmm.
It's perfect.
Wow.
Very nice. So on this day in Disney history, in 1805, writer Hans Christian Andersen, who wrote our beloved Snow Queen that was turned into Frozen, he was born today.
Hmm.
Oh.
Very cool.
Wowzers.
Yes. In 1934, Ward Kimball, who will become one of Walt's 9 old men, starts work at the Disney studio as an apprentice.
Hmm.
That's very cool.
Wow. Yeah.
In 1940, Walt Disney Productions offers shares in the company to the public for the first time. And then 1954, plans for the Disneyland Park and TV show are announced when ABC and Disney boards approve ownership and financing.
Hmm.
nice.
Yeah. And then in 1982, Disney re-releases Fantasia for the 8th time since its original 1940 release. And the soundtrack was also digitally re-recorded. So that was cool. To give it stereo sound.
Hmm.
Digital
Wow.
stereo sound. And
Yeah.
then in 2004, Disney's 44th animated feature, I kind of cringe at this, but Home on the Range is released.
Oy. I never saw it.
Really?
Me neither.
Nope, me
Good.
neither.
No, wait, JD, did
Good.
you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're the only one who saw it. but
Oh,
yeah, I don't think that'll be fun.
no. No.
Well, that won't.
You're gonna hate everything when you see that thing.
And finally, in 2007, the Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor in Disney World opened in Tomorrowland.
Yay!
Yeah, and have you guys all been to that?
I've not.
Yeah.
No.
It's so funny.
Last time
It
I went to
is.
Disney World, Monsters Inc. wasn't even out as a movie. So
That's right, yeah, you weren't there.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a while.
Well, or when I went there, I think it was in 2009, I actually, right when we walked in, I was the first one on camera. And
Nice.
I never got on camera. You're so lucky. I've
Well-
done that like 5 times, and I've never, ever gotten chosen.
well, I'm happy I was the first one because it was when people were getting seated, so they didn't ask me to tell a joke or anything. Thank God.
Oh man.
but-
I go all the time hoping to get picked.
Aw.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why you picked.
They told me I needed a hug. That's what it said on the screen.
Oh.
Did you get one?
Aw.
No, well, I guess my mom hugged me. 'Cause, you
Fair
know,
enough.
I don't know, it was a sentimental moment in my life. Okay. Let's move on to our next segment, Jen's Theme Park Corner.
I love this segment.
Hooray!
I am so excited for this segment, for this one, because it's so different. And I went through and I'm like, what am I going to say about this? Because outside from the obvious that the park is in the movie, I mean, there's not really much to say, but I have a few interesting tidbits here. So,
Yes. I love
aside
tidbits.
from, I know, aside from the obvious park in the movie, all the old logos, they're all dated back to the 60s, obviously, so that's all throughout. And then the old style park balloons, which I love, because they don't look like that anymore at all. Like, I mean, some still have the ears like that, but they're bigger and colorful, and they don't have the black part for the ears. So they're similar, but even then, I like seeing the older balloons, and even the old style characters and the stuffed animals. I mean, you don't see that at all anymore. Of course, it's updated. So I love that they went back and took the retro stuff. But obviously, that's another obvious one. But here's where it gets interesting. In one shot in Walt's office, I don't know if anyone noticed the map of Florida behind him.
Yes, I was going to say
and he has
this.
Walt Disney World. He has Orlando area circled.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, my parents, I was watching
Yeah.
this with my parents, and my mom immediately was like, oh my god, did you guys see the map of Florida on the wall? And then I thought I was going to be all cool when I came on here, because I was going to see that, but you also saw that, so that makes you cool too.
I actually saw it in theaters. That wasn't even during my rewatch.
Oh.
It was actually when I was watching it the first time
Oh,
on
wow.
the screen, and I was like, ah! to my dad, he was right next to me, like, ah!
The first time I watched it, I didn't, because I saw it twice, and the second time was with my parents, and I didn't notice it the first time.
Wow.
I don't know how I noticed. I guess because I was trying to look around his office to see just little sayings and stuff that they had, and then I spotted it.
Yeah.
I know even in one of the videos of Walt Disney, actual Walt Disney, doing his Wonderful World of Disney presentation, whatever, they have that exact like replica behind him. So that was a direct replica of that.
Wow.
And also a little tidbit for the theme park section, the extras were actually Disney cast members that were working that day, and they just kind of threw them in and had them be extras
Nice.
for that. And it was filmed in 2 days.
Was that actually filmed at the park?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because
Of course.
we were arguing about whether that was or not.
Yeah, and they actually used cast members that were working there, and it was filmed over 2 days.
That's awesome.
And they had to close the whole set, the Fantasyland and part of Tomorrowland section.
Mm-hmm.
And this probably is my favorite one. The tie that they had Walt wear throughout the episode is the same tie that he's wearing on the statue with him and Mickey in the Magic Kingdom. It's the same kind of tie. It has the same letters on it, and it's the same thing. So I love that. I love that they use the same tie as in the statue, that famous statue.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah, I like that one. And then in the last one, this one's interesting too, because I noticed this the second time around, and I wasn't sure why it was relevant. But if you remember in the film, maybe toward the end, Walt mentions that he has a meeting with GE.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember that, but they were the sponsor of the 1964 World's Fair, and the attraction that Walt Disney came up with that year was the Carousel of Progress.
That's
With
still to this day in Disney World.
Yes. It was originally in Disneyland until 1973, And then in 1975, it was moved to Tomorrowland in Magic Kingdom, and it's still in operation, minimal updates. It's practically exactly the same as it was back then,
Yeah.
which is really neat. And I'm glad that they never replaced it. They never changed it. It's like, that's Walt Disney's thing. Same with Small World. Like, those are his things that he made up, and I love that they kept it there.
In one of the shots of his office, you can see like a poster for "It's a Small World,"
Mm-hmm.
or something's in the background that says that on it.
Yeah, I was looking at those. I was trying to find them. Yeah, and then even at the beginning, when he first gets to Disneyland, they have all the posters in front of all the new rides that they're opening and stuff, and they're like the old style posters. And I think just recently Disney was re-releasing some of those old posters, like in calendar form and stuff, because people really loved them.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them I noticed were like outside of Disneyland in that shot,
Wow.
which were neat.
That's really great.
But yeah, that's all I got from my theme park corner, but I thought those were exciting.
Yeah.
Those are good, yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
cool how they incorporated the past into this film. They did a really good job with that.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice, Jen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you kindly.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's different from the usual what we've been
Mhm.
doing since this is
Yeah.
an animated movie.
Yeah, I had to dig deeper.
Yeah. Okay, so are we ready to get into this discussion?
I am ready.
So am I.
Born ready.
Born ready.
Born
Ah, Jinx, you owe me a sandwich. Ha ha.
Oh man.
Don't take your sandwich away.
Oh, it's being
Yeah,
cooked.
right.
That's all I have anymore.
That
You could
turkey
just
is
make-
mine.
Wait, you could just make 2 sandwiches.
Yeah.
But does
Come
she have
on.
enough turkey?
I don't even know.
Well, we're gonna have to
I don't even
splitsies. Splitsies.
It'll be really small sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah, get in the kitchen and make me a sandwich.
Oh
Oh,
god.
I didn't say that. That was all him. I said nothing.
It's okay. She's like 7 hours away. It's okay.
Right? So, she will drive those 7 hours to find you for that comment.
I'll nail it.
Yeah, seriously. Oh god. Moving on. Alrighty, so yeah, this film we're talking about today is Saving Mr. Banks, and like I said, the movie is about P.L. Travers coming to LA for 2 weeks to work on a script for the movie Mary Poppins, which is based off her book with the same title. So the film starts out and it shows her with her agent, I believe, right? Her
Yeah.
agent? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay. I thought it was her lawyer. Oh, okay.
well, that's what I was wondering. Was it her agent or her lawyer?
That was
I thought
her
it lawyer.
agent.
Oh.
Because at another
Yeah, maybe he
point,
does say that. Okay.
at another point in the movie, Walt's reading like a letter and says, "Oh, wife's to your agent," and then he says his name, and then she corrects him in how you say his name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Well, he's at her home in England, and I think she lives in London, and they're basically talking about going to LA. I think he ordered a cab for her, or a limo, and she canceled it because she's afraid of going to LA and meeting Walt Disney because she doesn't want him to take her beloved story away from her. And the only reason she's really doing it, the way they seem to say, is that she needs the money, and she will lose her house if she doesn't do this.
Yeah.
It's always a good incentive.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys know the full story of this or not. I wonder how truthful that is.
That's a good question.
I would assume it's pretty.
Yeah,
simple.
that would make sense if she was really, because I know she didn't want to give up
Right.
the rest of the character. That's real. So what else would make you do that? If
Right.
your house is going to get taken away, yeah, I'll sell the
Yeah.
rights.
Right. And a lot of it, I know the actual 2 weeks part, I know probably all of that is true. But
Yeah.
the flashbacks, I'm not so sure about.
Well, except when he comes back to her. Oh.
Yeah.
You said 2 weeks.
Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, when he comes back, I don't think
And
that's...
I love that. I wish that was true. 'Cause
I
that's,
know.
Like, parts of my zippity doo dah moment is in there.
Yeah.
You spoiled it.
That's okay.
I didn't say what part.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fair
That's
enough.
a long scene.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
it's,
You right.
it's a very good scene, though.
You
I
right.
have a specific part.
Ooh,
So-
okay.
Yeah.
All right, I stand corrected.
After that, I think it goes right to the flashback where it shows little P.L. Travers, whose name is
Ellen Goff.
Helen. Yeah, Helen. And I actually, when I first saw the movie, I was very confused because...
Me too, because they never say that's her.
Yeah, they call her Ginty.
Yep, Ginty.
And I remember thinking, wait, Ginty, who is that? Like, is that her name, or is her name Pamela? I wasn't very sure.
Pamela.
The second watch, though, I noticed that the older version has a picture of the younger family.
Yes, I noticed that too. Mm-hmm.
I didn't notice that.
I noticed the second time, because I didn't recognize them, obviously, going the first time. You're like, oh, okay, I don't know who those people are. But then the second time, you're like, oh, they look familiar.
Yeah, exactly. And they also, speaking of that picture on her desk, they did a really good job at decorating her surroundings and what she had with her. Like, you notice that she carried a Buddha around with her?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, because I did read somewhere that she really was a practicing Buddhist. And I'm glad they put that in there because I think a lot of people associate Disney with Christianity, and it was just nice that they put that in there instead of taking it out.
That's true.
So that was nice to see that there. But yeah, so they show the flashbacks with P.L. Travers as a child and her family moving, and they lived in Australia, and they moved to a new home because her father gets a new job, and he works at the bank. And it starts out, he's a very nice gentleman, it seems like.
Colin Farrell.
Yeah, what did we think of him?
I didn't like him.
I thought he was fine.
I liked him.
I liked him.
Yeah.
Wait, what did you say, Jen?
I didn't like him. Every time he was on screen, I'm just like, oh, when's this gonna end? He made these parts not bearable.
I agree with her. Yeah,
I can see how you would say that. I personally didn't have any issue with him, but I can see how you would think that.
Colin Farrell's a good actor. So.
He wasn't likable.
Oh, you mean the character?
I don't think it was likable
himself.
at all.
Like,
I don't know if it's the way he portrayed him or if it just was the character. It might have been a mix of both.
Yeah.
It's I just didn't care for him. I didn't care about him. I didn't really care for anything.
Yeah.
About those points.
I liked him. Yeah.
I just thought he was kind of cliche to a point. I mean, because just the way he acted out his role, I don't know.
That's true, but like if you think about the time period and what's going on, it makes sense. Like why he's like that. In a sense. In a way.
Yeah.
Plus he's in Australia. Everything can kill you and it's hot and it sucks. So I can believe that. I'm like, yeah, it must suck being down there.
I just know, like, the scene where it shows him, like, later in the movie, and he's, Ginty sees him drinking the alcohol in his bedroom through the window. Yeah. And I don't know, I guess it was his acting style, I just kind of didn't find it believable, but that was just my...
Actually, when I was rewatching this, to prepare for this, I fast-forwarded through some of those portions. So, I mean, I knew what happened, and I'm just like, I don't want to watch this part. So I just kind of fast-forward toward the end with the alcohol stuff, and just, I mean, I knew what happened, so I didn't miss it, but even then, I'm like, I don't want to watch this again.
Yeah.
I know what you mean, like, you kind of just want to see her with Walt Disney in the 1964 time. Right. 1961.
Oh, was that the year, 1961?
Yeah, 61. The movie came out in 64. And actually, Walt Disney died in 1965.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was right. And there's that part that Danielle, you and I were talking about, how he said, like, oh, I don't want people to see me smoking. I don't want to encourage bad habits, because he died of lung cancer.
Whoops.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that, but I really am glad that they included him saying that. I kind of wish they would have had him actually smoking in the film, but nonetheless, they did kind of portray Disney. They didn't portray him in this angelic way.
Oh, and I did read that Tom Hanks pushed for that smoking scene. He wanted that to be in there because he thought that humanized him more.
Which it does.
And I actually just read an article about Tom Hanks, and he grew up watching The Wonderful World of Disney, and he really looked up to Walt Disney. And so the fact that he included that, I think, has real integrity on his part as an actor.
Yeah.
It's Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Isn't he a distant cousin? I thought I read that too.
Is he? I don't know. I didn't read that in the article.
Cool.
Let me see.
Yeah. Check that out.
I think I read that when I was looking up Yeah, distant relative of Walt Disney. What does this say?
Oh, wow.
10 fun facts about Disney saving Mr. Banks. Hey, these could be
Ooh,
fun. What
yeah.
are the 10 fun facts?
Is this on BuzzFeed?
No, obsessivemommy.com. It might be the same.
Okay.
It might be
Heard
the
of that.
same article. I don't know.
ObsessiveMommy.com.
Whatever. I guess there's a website for everything.
Here's the thing about the smoking. It says Walt Disney hid his smoking habit from the public, fearing it would harm his and the studio's family-friendly image. Tom Hanks wanted his portrayal to be accurate, so he lobbied to show Disney smoking. Disney, the company, however, still insisted that smoking was not appropriate for a family film. Hanks got one concession from the company, a shot in which Disney is seen stubbing out a cigarette, so it's the scene we referenced.
No.
Yeah, you don't really see him smoking, and you don't really see even a cigarette. You can just, he says a line about smoking, and you sort of see him putting one out.
Yeah, but nonetheless, I'm glad it was addressed.
He got that part of the character in there.
He did, and he coughed a bit, I noticed as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this one's kind of cool. It says the Walt Disney Archives helped to make sure Saving Mr. Banks was as accurate as possible. They digitized more than 150 pieces of memorabilia, including era-appropriate Disneyland souvenir guides, postcards, posters, merchandise catalogs, memo paper, and premiere invitations for use by the filmmakers.
That's
Oh.
great.
Wowzers.
Another thing is that during the credits, I believe it was Richard Sherman, one of the actual Sherman brothers was one of the supervisors, so he was there when they were recording all the music, and he was a part of all of the recording scenes to make sure that it was as accurate as possible. Actually, I believe Robert died. Robert's not alive anymore. Yeah, Richard's still alive, and Richard was supervisor for the film.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good to know. I saw that as well. I'm glad that they had him involved.
Actually, if you look up pictures, like if you look them up on Wikipedia, their pictures, they look really different. They're like really old. Well, you would expect that, but they look so different. It's really funny.
They look huskier in real life. Where the guys who played
they're pretty
them...
fat, actually.
Pretty big.
Yeah, but nonetheless, I think the guys they chose were great.
No, yeah. I thought the fact that they weren't actually related, but they looked so much like brothers was really, really interesting how they did that.
Yeah, I think they did a great job with casting in this movie.
Yeah, Tom Hanks was Walt Disney as far as I'm
Tom
concerned.
Hanks, yeah, I thought that was one of, like, if Walt Disney was alive, I don't think there's anybody else he would want to play him other than Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
I just think that Tom Hanks is the only person that could have done him justice. Just the way that he got all of his mannerisms down, the way that there's a very specific way that he walked, the way that his face was, the way that his cadence of his words. He really, really put a very highly sophisticated acting job into making sure that Walt Disney was done correctly.
Because he did his research, because he even said that he watched all of Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Disney shows. He watched all of those.
I'm sure he did, yeah.
And he went to the museum, the Disney Family Museum, and he did every bit of research he could.
Right.
And he grew that mustache, right?
He did.
Was that real? Oh, I know
yes,
that
he
was
did.
real.
And so did Emma Thompson.
that.
She had the perm.
I was gonna say, she grew a
I
mustache.
wonder about that.
Emma Thompson grew a mustache? Like,
I was like,
because you're like, oh, he grew a mustache. Oh, yeah, so did Emma Thompson.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
I guess I worded that wrong.
I
Sorry.
missed that part.
It's fine.
That's funny. But yeah, actually, we should talk about Emma Thompson, because she was really incredible, too.
Emma Thompson, otherwise known as Professor Trelawney from Harry Potter, but you wouldn't know that at all.
No.
She doesn't seem anywhere this, like, you don't even know that's, and if somebody didn't tell you that, you probably wouldn't know that.
You wouldn't.
That's true.
You wouldn't think that at all, yeah.
Yeah, I thought she was incredible in this role.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who else they'd even put in. Like, just with Tom Hanks, I don't know who else they'd put in with him either. They were both perfect.
Yeah.
Maggie Smith.
I think she might be too old, but she
Too
was
old,
good
yeah.
Still.
Yeah. Maybe a couple years ago.
Yeah. I'd say in, like, the prime, like, when Harry Potter first came out, I think.
When it first came out, yeah.
Yeah.
She's a little too old now, yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, she would have been good as well. She's a great rigid.
But she'd have made it would have been a different character, that's for sure.
Exactly,
But in a good way, though, in an interesting way.
Yeah.
Right.
I think she's more of, like, the grandmother type, the very motherly type, and P.L. Travers never had children, so she wasn't supposed to be that way. She was supposed to be different than that. So I thought that that's why they chose her for that.
That makes sense.
I don't know if she actually has children or not, but she was very good at that role.
Yeah, exactly. And then we already talked about Colin Farrell. Then we have Paul Giamatti as Ralph.
Yes. The bad guy from Big Fat Liar with Frankie Muniz.
Well, actually, there's a scene in this movie where he's driving her, and they show it a few times in the shot, where he's going around a curve, and you see this really nice view of the city.
Yeah.
And it looked like a scene from Big Fat Liar to me.
Yes.
I can't believe that's
that.
the same.
Yeah. I know. I have it on DVD. I watched it like a few years ago.
Frankie Muniz and Hilary Duff.
Yeah. No, Amanda Bynes. You're thinking
Amanda Bynes. That's who it was. Yeah.
Cody
Amanda
Banks is
That's
with Hilary
right.
Duff.
That's who it was. Yeah.
I feel like I saw this guy in a million movies. And I probably have.
Yeah, he's around. He's very much around.
This might not be a very good movie, but I know he's in Big Mama's House.
Oh, that was a low point for him.
I don't know if I ever saw
It's
Big
a funny movie.
It's like, I can't say that without laughing. Big Mama's House.
I always enjoyed that.
He's gonna be in Spider-Man this summer as Rhino. Yeah, he's driving a big old truck, so it fits.
I saw this video once where this guy was talking about Rugrats, and he was talking about who all the Rugrats would grow up to be, and he was saying, okay, Angelica would grow up and be Hillary Clinton, and the Phil and Lil would grow up and be John and Joan Cusack, and Tommy would grow up and be Paul Giamatti.
Yes. Yes.
I always knew Tommy would be successful.
Yeah.
Tommy was my favorite.
Or that he's really not attractive. I don't know what that's inferring.
Yeah, no, me neither. But it's still cool.
Here's an interesting question. Why do you think? Because she doesn't answer this question. But why do you think he was the only American she ever liked? Because remember, he says, "Oh, can you tell me why?" And she's just like, "No," and that's it.
I think it was because he met her in between, like. He explained things to her, like, about his daughter. And he sat down with her when she was making that little moat thing, the fortress.
And he didn't ask anything from her, because it seems like everyone's always asking things and trying to appease her, but he was just there doing what he does and just being nice.
I think one thing is that, like, I forget that, and Don was his name, the script writer. Like, anytime she would give him a hard time and, like, say something, he would just be like, oh, you're right. And he would get, like, really defensive and just give her what she wanted. Ralph would actually, anytime she said anything, he would sort of go around the corner and be like, oh, well, what about this? He wouldn't get all defensive. He would actually kind of not push back, but really kind of soften her and make her think of things in other ways.
Yeah, exactly. Like, when she said, I think he called her Pamela, and she said Mrs. Travers, or he called her something, and she said Mrs., and he was like, okay, Mrs., and he called her Mrs. the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Which I thought was
because she was just like, oh, yeah, you're not going to get it right, or just forget it.
Yeah.
Americans are dumb and silly.
Yeah, and speaking of Don, he's played by Bradley Whitford.
I thought it was Johnny Galecki, but it wasn't. Leonard from The Big Bang Theory, he looks just like him.
He does a little, yeah. But
I really thought that was him. This guy is, if you remember, not Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison. This guy was the guy, Eric, the guy he was competing with to get the position with his father. That's who he was in that movie. Mm-hmm. He was in Billy Madison.
Huh.
And he's currently on a TV show on ABC. I think it's the Trophy Wife. Oh. I've never watched it, but
me neither.
The guys who played Robert and Richard Sherman.
Yes.
B.J. Novak, who we know him from The Office.
Yes.
He played Robert.
Not me. Never saw it.
Yeah, it's a pretty good show, I'd say.
No, I didn't really watch that either.
Me neither. It's okay.
I've watched it on Netflix. It was good in the beginning.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore. I'm on like season 6. I'm not enjoying it anymore. But it was good in the beginning.
That's what I heard.
And then Jason Schwartzman plays Richard. I've never heard of him, but if you guys go on Internet Movie Database, he has quite the mustache.
Really?
I'm gonna send you the link.
Yeah.
Yes.
See this stash.
Alright.
I think he looked
Let's
cuter in the movie.
see here.
You know who one of them looked
Oh,
like?
wow.
Yeah!
Combined.
This guy looks like
Yeah.
Ron Burgundy.
Who did he look like? Or combined?
well, one of them, or if you combine them, they look like Zachary Quinto. Is that his name?
Ah, yeah.
Spock
Zachary
from the
Quinto.
new Star Trek movies.
Yeah.
Oh no, American Horror Story.
Well, he's also in
That's
that
what I know
too.
him from.
And
I just know him
Heroes.
as Spock from the new.
I've never heard of him. Zachary Quinto.
But if you combine the two guys, or one or the other, this reminds me of him. I thought it was him at first.
No, you're totally right. It does look like a combination of them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, and actually that guy, Jason Schwartzman, he has a band. I forget what it's called though, but I did look it up. But he was on Parks and Recreation.
Oh.
I watched that show.
Oh, he was in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Okay, that's where I know him from.
Wait,
Oh, yeah, that's
which
right.
one are we
Gotcha.
talking about?
Jason Schwartzman.
Oh, okay.
And his band is called Coconut Records. But I also see here something, I've heard of this band, Phantom Planet, it says.
Huh, that sounds
Let me look.
familiar.
Yeah.
Phantom Planet. Sorry.
Okay, so after we see some of these flashbacks, we see P.L. Travers on the plane leaving for L.A. And I love the line she says where she's like, I hope we crash.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah.
Oh. I was like, hey, it was pre 9/11, so it's fine. You know.
And then after, we meet Ralph. And I like I said already, I loved his scenes so much.
Question.
Yeah.
When she gets there and there's the drivers holding up the signs from, like, there's one for Warner Brothers. Were those, I bet if you look that up, those were actual people, like, some type with some movie that, like, had to do with Warner Brothers.
Probably.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I was so curious about that. I thought.
I
of that
bet those
too.
were they're actual people.
Did we actually see the names that were written?
I'm
I
already
One of
on
them
it.
was
Good.
VOT. VOGT.
Huh.
Credle, Credle, is the Warner Brothers, and then the other one, MGM. That's
VOT.
MGM doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, VOGT.
Yeah, that's right. MGM doesn't really exist.
It doesn't exist anymore?
No, that's
Never
That's
even
why
noticed.
Disney's no longer MGM. It's Disney's Hollywood Studios.
Ah, right.
They
That
went
made me
bankrupt.
sad. I still call it MGM.
No lion roars in front of movies anymore?
Yeah, that was the
No, not
best.
anymore.
Yeah. I never really thought about that, but yeah.
That makes me think of two things: The Wizard of Oz, and
Yeah.
Even Stevens, where there's an episode where Lewis makes his own movie, and he has an intro where he roars like the lion.
Oh,
With
yes.
his feather.
It's like
It's
the
epic.
best opening to anything.
It is. I
The
love
best
it.
logo.
Well, see, that's
It's probably the
interesting.
most classic, the most remembered,
Yeah.
It is definitely.
and probably the most parodied. I know
Yeah.
in the Muppets did it with, like, Animal,
Yeah.
and then Sesame Street would do it with Cookie Monster, and he would eat the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good old Muppets. I love them.
No.
I just wanted to know if those were, like, actual people, so
Well,
turns
it's
out they were.
Yeah, and that's
Possibly.
again, that's great though. That's historically accurate. I mean,
Yeah, because I knew that they wouldn't have made a big deal about showing those names if they wouldn't just, like, make up names.
And
Yeah.
also, I mean, we won't look more into it now, but I would be interested to really look more into it and see, like, go dig deeper to see what they are working on and when, to really
Yeah.
see if
Yeah.
what it had to do with Disney.
Because that Volt guy who did a ton of MGM films, it looked like he was contracted for them for a long time. It said years active, 1920 to 19... Oops, I already X'd out. But I think it was... Oh, no, wait, he died in 1956, and that was before this film took place.
Oh,
So it couldn't be him.
that's weird.
I don't
I
know
don't
who
know.
he is. That's weird.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Listeners, here's a job for you.
All one
Look
of
this
you.
up. Yeah, all one of you. Look this up for us. No, wait, how many people? I think we read 5 people's feedback. So
Yeah.
all 5 of you.
Are you
Go
sure?
at it.
Are you sure it's fine?
Yeah.
I think it was 5.
Alright.
I X'd out of the Tumblr, so I don't know now.
Take
but,
your word for it.
Yeah. I think I'm correct in saying that. Yes, so we see P.L. Travers get to her hotel room, and it is littered with Disney merchandise.
That was the best.
It really was. And,
Yeah, that was really fun.
and it almost, even though it's awesome, like, for somebody like her, you can see how imposing it is.
Yeah.
Almost.
I'm like, I want that done to my hotel room every time I go anywhere.
Seriously.
Yeah, that was awesome. And we also saw the weird thing she did with the pears.
Pears. That didn't pay off until what, like the end of the movie?
The very end.
Yeah, I was like, man, it took a long time to get that.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but I'm glad they tied it in, but yeah, it was a little while.
I would have probably done it a little sooner. Just like a little.
Yeah. So yeah, we see all these gift baskets. She hides them all in a closet, and then she puts Mickey up against the window.
That was good.
Yeah. Like he is a bad boy or something. And then she turns on her TV, and I loved that it had Tom Hanks reenacting the scene that Walt Disney actually did record in the Wonderful World of Disney.
Oh, so it was like an exact
was that shot
scene.
for shot?
Nice.
It's
it's on, they put that part on the Disney Magical Express bus. Oh, I should miss this in my theme park corner. On the Disney Magical Express bus, which takes you to the airport to your hotel room, I'm 98% sure a variation of that exact scene is on that video.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
When she first turns on the TV, it's Lassie.
Yeah,
And then and then it goes to, which is funny. Also, she uses a remote control, which I asked my parents if that would have existed, and they said they don't remember anything like that, but it was a very, like, primitive kind, so I think that it did. I mean, it was a Los Angeles hotel room, so I think that it wasn't very, like, mass-produced, but they did have them.
It was high-end, like, it was
she
fancy,
was, was she at? What was her hotel? Beverly Hills? It was Beverly Hills something? I mean, they had nice stuff, so
it was a very nice hotel she was at.
Mm-hmm.
But I do love how the audience, our first view of Disney is on this TV screen. I love that we haven't seen him prior.
Right. Because it starts out kind of showing him as we see him, this TV icon.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which was awesome. And really kind of shows his power, because right away we see Lassie, she switches the channel, and right away it's him.
Yeah.
Then we see her going in the limo with Ralph, and again, like I said, I love the Ralph scenes, and I love how he says, oh, it's a nice sunny day, and she kind of is like, okay, like, what's the point of that? And he's like, at least it's not rainy, and she says, well, rain brings life. And he says to her, well, so does the sun.
Yeah.
And then she says, be quiet.
Yeah.
Like, shut up.
Yeah.
Don't undermine me.
When they were in the car, my first thought was, where did they get all these old cars in such good shape? Because they have so many of them, and even this limo, like, where did they get this at?
Yeah. Money.
Yeah, exactly.
Money will buy you anything you want.
Oh, and I just noticed Ralph has a little Mickey pin on his
really?
Does
jacket. He? Yeah, it's so cute. Yeah, his little Mickey pin.
Nice little detail there.
That is a nice detail. So then, I forget I think it's when first of all, we meet Walt Disney for the first time, and they make a point. Actually, let me back up for a second.
She meets, like, the screenplay guy.
Exactly, yeah, we meet the screenplay guys.
And the composers.
Yes.
Yeah, Robert and Richard.
Yes. And that's when the Hi-Ho song plays.
Yeah, when they're in that little golf cart.
Right.
That's Dave Brubeck's version of Hi-Ho from Snow White, which is on the album Dave Digs Disney, which was written by him after his family took a trip to Disney World. So the Hi-Ho song, jazz version that you heard, was written by him, and a lot of the other jazz music that was played, there was one that it was sort of a Latin feel, and there was one that had a trombone playing. It was all time periodly correct with what was going on in terms of jazz history around that time period. It wasn't big band music, it wasn't real swing music, it was kind of this lounge, straightforward, what's called modal jazz, which was based on one overall chord playing, and then they just kind of play over the one chord. So that's what you heard. So that was all time periodly correct, all the music.
Yeah, and for that song, if you guys haven't bought the soundtrack yet and you just want to buy that song, well, iTunes, I'm almost positive, will not let you buy it individually. You have to buy the entire album of Saving Mr. Banks. So I'll put the link in the show notes to the actual Dave Brubeck CD, because you can buy it individually there.
It's called,
buy his whole album.
It's called Dave Digs Disney.
She gets in the golf cart with the writer and the musicians, and she goes to meet Walt Disney for the first time, and she's told that they go on a first-name basis. So she's to call him Walt.
I love that they go on a first-name basis. That just seems so Disney. I love that.
It does.
It was nice. Yeah, it makes it less, like, corporate and more family. Which is a wonderful thing. You can tell throughout the movie, and it's, like, over-exaggerated almost with all the food that they have served to them and the closeness of everybody. Just this real family environment. When you're there, like
she didn't like the food. That food all looked really good. When I saw it, I was like really hungry and I wanted to eat all that food.
I love the Jello shaped like Mickey. That's such a Disney World thing.
You can probably you can get stuff like ice cream looked like Disney, looks like Mickey and stuff. Yeah.
So then P.L. Travers and Walt Disney meet together, and Disney tells Travers that he made a promise to his daughters. I believe it was 20 years ago, because it's been 20 years he's been trying to acquire the rights to this film.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's he really did try that.
He did.
Like, he first contacted her right after Snow White.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on the Mary Poppins DVD, they have a whole documentary, I think it's like 45 minutes long, that talks about this whole acquiring the rights of Mary Poppins. So I actually saw that before this movie was even thought about, or at least in the public. So when I heard about this movie, I thought, oh yes, I would love to see this. And they did a really good job with it. But he had been trying to acquire film rights for 20 years, all because he promised his daughters. And he tells her, he's like, a man can't break a promise to his children. And I just thought, and you guys let me know what you thought of this, I just thought it was very imposing of him. Very straightforward, like...
That's what he thought.
Yeah, to her it's personal, but to him it's just all superficial and what he sees on the outside of it.
Right.
Another thing I noticed was in his office when he's like saying, he was telling the story about his daughters and everything, and he points to a picture. Do you think those were actual pictures of his real daughters? Those were real pictures of Walt Disney's daughters?
I wonder.
Because I think that they very well could be.
Yeah, I mean, if they went is to recreate all those replicas of park programs that you wouldn't even see, I'm sure something that's obvious, they probably are real.
Either that or they got actresses to look lookalikes.
Yeah.
Because I know with at the premiere we see Julie Andrews and Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
I didn't think that they looked really like them, but they were shown really, I could be remembering wrong, they were shown really for a short period of time.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, again, a nice effect.
Are they still alive, his daughters?
No. Diane just died.
Yeah.
Like last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometime at the end of 2013, I believe she died. Yeah, so that, again, really nice touch to the scene.
Definitely so.
Yeah, but I watched a documentary on the Travel Channel one time about Disney World being built, and I remember by the end of it just thinking, Walt Disney, I mean, I love him, I love what he's done, but when they're talking about him and what he wanted to accomplish, he expected so much from other people to just do everything at his will. I think it came across so well in this movie that they don't try to sugarcoat it. They just show Disney asking straight up what he wants and why he wants it.
Yep.
Yeah, and they have this quote, let me find it. It's whenever they're at Disneyland.
Yeah.
I know you know what I'm talking about. Oh, here it is. She asked him, she even calls him Walter. She said, do you always get everything you want, Walter? And he says, pretty much, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's like, what, of course I do. Why are you even asking me that?
Yeah,
right.
Walt Disney. Or
That's a great quote.
That one scene where, I guess her dad has the mustache.
Yeah.
And she's like, why does he have the mustache? And it's just like, because Walt asked for it. And then, the one assistant goes and asks, like, she wants to know why you have the mustache on. It's just like, because I asked for it. And that's
Right.
it. There's nothing else. It's just because he wanted it.
Yep.
Like, no explanation, no anything. It's just because I wanted it there.
Exactly.
It's like, okay. Alright.
Yeah. And they also show, not so much in this scene, but in later scenes, how manipulative he can be. And not like in a bad way,
Right.
but you see how patient he is with her, and
Yeah.
he's all doing it just to get what he wants. And he even, like, about the whole animation thing,
Yeah.
he chooses not to tell her until later, hoping that at that point she'll be kind of into the family circle and be more accepting of it.
In all fairness, did he know that they were going to have the animation at that
Of
point?
course.
I'm sure he
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because they never said that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I think they all knew about it. They just didn't get to that part in the story just yet. And then when they did,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I think during the same scene they both say that they love Mary Poppins for different reasons. Because P.L. Travers says to him that Mary Poppins is family to her, and in a way she's family to Walt Disney as well. Just completely different sides of the spectrum of what family is and why. So they both have an attachment, but I think the movie sort of makes you feel more for Travers because of how much she clings to her and her apparent childhood. And also, another thing I picked up on was after she leaves, Walt Disney says, he goes, "Oh, damn," or something like that.
Yeah.
Because, damn.
And, yeah.
Oh,
and
he does? I didn't remember that
Yeah.
part.
Well, that made me happy.
Yeah. It's, damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty legit, just the way he said it.
Yeah, exactly. It was really nice. So then we start getting into the creative room, where the writers are, and we see that Travers wants to record their conversations, which I love at the end of the film in the credits that they included some of them.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they really did sound like the actual stuff that they talked about.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did a good job.
And I think a lot of people wanted more, but I'm pretty sure Disney didn't release them because I'm gonna guess that they weren't exactly like how the movie portrayed them.
Maybe not.
I
Maybe
think
there
I
was a
saw
lot more
the-
cursing. Who knows?
Yeah,
There's
they might have been a
Possibly,
lot.
yeah.
39 hours or 35 hours
Oh.
of it or something.
Jeez.
I would love to hear it.
And I think both Tom Hanks and Emma Thompson listened to all of it. They gave them
Nice.
to access to it. I
Well, that
Probably
makes
did,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to listen to that. Not all of it, I don't think, but a lot of it.
It'd be cool.
Right.
Cool. It would be cool. So we see them serving all that food, and P.L. Travers says you could feed a starving country from the food in this room alone.
It's pretty legit.
The one part where the secretary says like, "Oh, all she wants is bread and broth." I don't know what that is. She didn't know what broth
Vegetables,
was.
green
Vegetables.
vegetables and broth.
Broth, and she didn't know what the broth was.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Yeah, like,
I was
ow.
like, really? You don't know what broth is?
Yeah.
I took it as a joke of she kept bringing all these desserts and sweet things that she didn't know what green vegetables were.
Oh.
That's how I took it. Am I the only one that took it
But
that way?
Even if it was taken that way, that's still weird to me.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, she was kind of overweight-ish, and she was bringing all these
Overweight-ish.
desserts and sweet things and jellos, and
Yeah.
she said
Yeah.
vegetables and broth. But she probably just like vegetable soup or something. She's like, I don't know what vegetables are. That's
Right.
how I took it. I don't know.
I just find that hard to believe that you didn't know what vegetables are,
Well,
even if you're
that's
American.
How cartoonized she's made.
Right,
'Cause
yeah.
She is cartoonized.
She is
is.
definitely.
Yeah. And then one thing I found interesting was that when they bring up Dick Van Dyke, she immediately dismisses him.
Yeah.
And
Dick
it's
Van Dyke. You want to have Dick Van Dyke?
I was like, what's wrong with Dick Van
Like,
Dyke?
to Americans, he's like an icon because at that point the Dick Van Dyke show was going on. He was more of a, I think she saw him more as just like this joking, goofy guy, like not like a classically trained actor or anything like
animated almost.
Yeah.
In the way he
Yeah, because he was a comedian. His show was a comedy.
Yeah.
Right.
So that
It was
makes
supposed to
sense.
be funny.
I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but I've read that his portrayal of Bert in Mary Poppins is the worst accent.
Yeah, a
Ever.
lot of people. My
Yeah, that
parents
makes
watching
sense.
said, my mom even said, oh yeah, I remember seeing this with my two friends in the movie theaters, and that's what the main thing when it came out was that his accent was known to be, everybody, it was terrible.
Yeah.
And it was known to be really bad.
Also, that's the scene where they start singing, I actually don't know the song.
Chim Chimney, that's the first one they do.
Well, that's the first one, but... Oh, wait, is it? Yeah, you're right.
Alright, step up, ladies and gents. That part at the very beginning.
Yeah, and that's when they say responsible.
Yeah.
And...
responsible, yeah.
Yeah. And
did they really say that in the movie?
Yeah. Which, again, you can see... I'm not a huge Mary Poppins. Like, I love the movie, but I didn't grow up with it. But for fans of the film, probably watching this, just loved seeing everything that was put in, even though...
I've never seen it. Shocked.
I saw it, I think, like 2 years ago for the first time, and it's...
I saw it years ago. When I was
I've seen it, but like bits and pieces of it. Like I know it, and I know all the songs from it, but no, I haven't like sat down and watched it all the way through.
That's a good way of putting it, yeah.
I've seen the musical like 8 times. I love the musical. But the movie I've never seen.
The movie, it's classic, but there are scenes in there that, like, the whole scenes with Dick Van Dyke dressing with the penguin, or dancing with the penguins.
Penguin.
Yeah.
That scene, I cannot stand it.
Really? You don't like that? Oh,
it's
everybody
penguins.
It's so boring. It's so long and boring. I can't stand it.
I remember as a kid thinking that all the parts that weren't the cartoons were boring.
Yeah, same.
Like, what are these people talking? I don't care what these people are talking about. Just show the cartoons.
I thought the whole movie was cartoons and people when I was little. I didn't know there were just people moments.
I also thought it interesting how she didn't want the color red, but and they did do the movie in black and white. Everything except for the cartoon part.
Oh, is it in black and white?
No, it's not. You're right.
I was gonna say,
I'm
yeah.
stupid. I thought it was. It's not. Nobody paid attention to that.
Yeah,
but
it's not.
Since you brought up the red thing, I know we're skipping, but I love how she says she doesn't like red and hates red, and then later on she's seen wearing red when she's making the little house out of sticks, and she's drinking out of the paper cup and things she'd never do.
Yeah.
Right.
And that shows growth.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a subtle thing. It's not obvious to the viewer, which I love.
A lot of the things where they're like reenacting the scenes, and remember that's supposed to be before the movie was even like they didn't even have the actors or actresses ready yet. This is an extreme like they were just okaying the script at this point. They didn't even know for sure Dick Van Dyke was going to do it. They said, "Oh, we hope so."
Right.
And if you watch the movie like that, where they wrote the part, they wrote the ending where he fixes the kite. If you watch the movie, it pretty much happens exactly like they show it, where they're like, "Oh, he mended it." It's pretty much just the way that they acted out, and that was supposed to be before the movie was ever made.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, I actually really love that scene. Let's Go Fly a Kite. It's one of my favorites. So yeah, we see them in the creative space, and she's just not having it, Travers. And I think it's right after when Ralph was driving her home, and she makes a note that nobody walks in LA.
Yeah.
Which I love because this whole movie to me is kind of showing the differences between Hollywood and then this, I don't know, literary crowd or sophisticated crowd. I don't know what word you would use for that.
I'd say maybe like America and Britain, maybe. Like different cultures.
Very true. Yeah, very true. Yeah.
I like the part, the tea from a styrofoam cup.
Yeah.
Tea from a styrofoam? You expect me to drink that?
And she puts the milk in first.
Yeah.
Did they ever address that in the film as to why?
No, that's just how British people do it.
No, that's just how she likes it.
Yeah, that's how she likes
it. Is that not how it's done here?
I don't put milk in tea.
No, I've never put milk in tea.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Because
I
I don't like tea, so
I'll have to
I don't
try
know how
it,
it's
though.
usually made.
Yeah, I don't know.
So then, we're back in the creative room, and I notice Bob gets annoyed.
Yes.
Yes. Very often with her. He's the one who kind of says, like, points out her BS.
Yeah. Which I liked. To an extent.
Yeah, it was good.
Because I'm like, girl, you need to chill.
And I liked how they had showed him limping with his cane and how they said he was shot.
Right.
What was the significance of that?
It was just a tiny detail.
He actually was, and he actually did do that.
Right. I thought that was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why was he shot?
In the
He's in the
war.
War.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The war.
And then we have the no facial hair scene, which we discussed. And obviously Walt saying, why do you want it? Because I asked for it. And then we get a flashback where Travers Goff, her father, says a word, or I think Ginty says a certain word, and he responds to her, that's a made-up word, which kind of ties back to the whole responsible incident.
Oh, and I love how when she yells about the responsible thing, they have supercalifragilisticexpialidocious sitting there, and he pushes it behind.
Right.
That was the trailer moment right there. I
yes,
remember
it
that.
was.
That was the trailer moment.
Yeah, that was a great little humor moment.
And I'm like, I see what you did there.
And then they play that later for her, and she's like, well, what does that even mean? And they're like, well, it's just, you say it when you don't know what to say. She's like, but I always know what to say.
Yeah.
It's like, alright.
I love that.
And that's like one of the most famous songs from that movie.
Yep.
And she didn't want it in there. She didn't want any of them.
No.
I know. And then they discover the whole spoonful of sugar song.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go. Sugar,
when they
go
go
down. Sugar,
Yep.
yeah. And I was like, yeah.
Go up, on, down.
It's
Yeah,
ironic.
exactly.
It goes up, on, down.
Ironic. And I thought they did a good job realistically portraying the creative behind that, I guess, like just showing the creative process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they actually play it for PL Travers, and they wrote down this...
I wonder how real that is, though. Like, is that exactly how they came up with it?
I wonder, though, too.
I think it would be if...
Like, how
Who was
contrived is that? Even with the spoonful of sugar thing, like, that was so, oh, look at that. Oh, a spoonful. Oh, that
Right.
makes sense. I wonder how long, if it really did happen like that, or if it took them longer, or who came up with it.
I think the thing is, like, it does seem a little cheesy and cliche, but, I mean, a lot of times great ideas do come to you kind of right there.
Yeah.
Like that. And also... Richard, you said, Eric, was the one
Yes.
supervising?
Yeah,
so,
he was still alive.
yeah, so if maybe it wasn't exactly like that, maybe, like, it did take longer, but he basically summed
He
it
would
up.
have, he would have said it. I think that's how one of the... It was very realistic, I think, because he was there, and he would have told them if it wasn't.
Then that's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm glad.
I know, me too. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then...
They notably, they also did the music for Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and
yeah.
I forget, you can look it up, but there's a couple of other famous movies that they did the music for.
It's a Small World they composed.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, because they had a recent video, because it's the Small World ride is having its 50th anniversary, I think, right?
That's right.
Oh,
and
is
they
it
had a
right?
video of him talking about it and playing on the piano, and they even have
I
little
wanna see
features
that.
about it.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
They're doing some new modern stuff with that ride as well.
Good.
Where they're... Yeah.
In California, probably. They don't touch anything in Florida. That's
Right.
all
Oh, really?
sacred. Yeah, I mean, even
Oh,
in
okay.
California, they have a Nightmare Before Christmas layover on their Haunted Mansion and all this stuff.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Florida
yeah.
doesn't do it, although, just a tangent. Florida did, for the first time, they put a Christmas, layover thing on their Jungle Cruise, which they've never done before.
What was it? What would that? What was
Their
it?
jokes, I actually wrote this when they did it, their jokes were more Christmassy oriented, and they had some lights around, and Christmas lights, and stuff. I mean, it wasn't huge, but it was cute.
Because I remember for the 25th, I was there for the 25th anniversary of Disney World, so 1997.
you had
1997.
The cake,
The giant cake. The cake castle.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Oh.
That
Yeah, I was there
hated.
for that. And there was also the Millennium ears that were over the big ball in Epcot.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the 2000 people.
Yeah, I
hated
was
that
there.
too.
That's when I
I
first went.
was also there then. Yeah, I was trying to think of when would the 25th anniversary? It was 1997, summer of 97. Yep, I
Yeah,
remember
because
that.
we have the 25th anniversary McDonald's glasses.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
The square
Yeah.
ones, the round ones. Yeah.
Yeah, back when it was awesome to get the McDonald's toys.
Yes, it was.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Great memories. Yeah, so they do this spoonful of sugar song, and I wrote down this quote that I wanted to read to you guys, because I feel like it sums up the whole debate between this movie, between Travers and Disney throughout the entire movie. And she responds to the song. Travers says, "This is the sort of tune you would play in your theme park, I dare say, all giddy and carefree, and encouraging children to face the world unarmed. All they need is a spoon and some sugar and a brain full of fluff, and they're equipped with life's dolls." She says then, "Mary Poppins doesn't sugarcoat the darkness in the world. Where's the script's reality?" And I feel like that's a lot of what criticism Disney will get a lot. And I don't know, I don't know what you guys thought of that,
I like
but I loved
that
it.
quote a lot. I'm glad you brought that up, because when watching it, I really did. I liked her delivery of it, and I liked that quote, because it speaks exactly what she's thinking, and it's just everything in one little nutshell quote.
Right.
I love how she said, like, one of those little tunes you'd have playing in your money-making park. And it's funny because it actually, like, is.
It is. No, it so is. And that's what's great about it.
Yeah.
And actually, at the end, when they go to the premiere, when it's playing, that's, like, what it's playing in the park.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is also the scene, how it ends when it's almost like the breaking point of the movie, because Travers says to Disney, she says, "You think Mary Poppins has come to save the children, Mr. Disney?" And that's the whole premise of the story, obviously, that she didn't come to save the children, she came to save the father.
And I'm just like, who would get that? Like, upon reading it the first time. Who would really understand that? Unless it says it in the book,
well,
I don't know. But
I actually did read Mary Poppins after I saw this movie. I got it from the library. Mm-hmm. There is nothing in there to me that points to... I know it's a series, so I didn't read the other books, but
I think
nothing...
the first book is what the movie is based on.
It is, and it just... Nothing pointed... Like, Mr. Banks. Mr. Banks is only there, I think, in 1 or 2 scenes. And I didn't get that from the book.
Wasn't that the point of the book, though, that the father didn't really pay attention to them, and so at the end he did?
Well, he doesn't, though, in the book. In the movie, he does.
Oh, they changed the point. What was the point of the book, then?
I think it was just a children's story. I mean, you could ask the same, what's the point of Alice in Wonderland? You know?
To get high and read.
Well, oh, God.
Well. I don't think that was the purpose, but you could get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't get that from reading the book, which is why I think part of the backstory is fabricated. But I mean, maybe some people read the book and got it, but I didn't see it.
Right.
I never read the book or saw the movie, so that's why I'm not sad for it.
She's like, I'm just thinking about my sandwich.
I just want my sandwich. I don't know.
That's all I'm on.
You're reminding. I know you don't watch Friends, but you're making me think of Joey from Friends because he loves sandwiches.
I was talking about cheese a minute ago and bread. Oh man.
Is your mouth watering now?
Slightly, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, then we get another flashback. I don't remember exactly where all the flashbacks were, but I have one written down here where Ginty, or Helen's father, tells her they're eating ice cream together.
Yeah.
This is when he almost gets fired.
Right.
He's telling her about the money.
Yes, exactly. And he says, "Money, money, money. Don't you buy into it?"
Because at the beginning she said, "Stop saying money. It's a disgusting word."
Mm-hmm. Yep. I love that, how they'll point to something in a certain scene and then come back to it through a flashback.
Yeah, but the thing is that they do it really subtly. Like, you don't think, oh, they're going to explain that later. You just think that it's something she says.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like the pears, you just think, oh, she doesn't like pears. You didn't think they're going to explain why.
Yeah. And then we see there's a scene at night where Richard Sherman is playing the piano and singing the song Feed the Birds.
Yeah.
The thing is with that scene was, according to, personal records, everybody says that was Walt Disney's all-time favorite song that he ever had in one of his films. And what bothered me about that scene is that when the song finished, all he said was, I think he says, like, that'll work, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I kind of was like, wait a minute, this was his favorite song. I mean, they constantly talk about this in documentaries, and I kind of feel like they should have, I don't know,
Yeah.
had him
I even-
shed a tear.
I even read that P.L. Travers didn't like Let's Go Fly a Kite song. She didn't want to take
Really?
that out. She liked Feed the Bird. That was her favorite one.
We see Walt tell Richard that Pat Powers, who I don't know who that is. Does anybody know who Pat Powers is?
Powers, no.
No.
Mm-mm.
I think, well, I know when Disney first started, he had Oswald. Is that the name?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oswald
Lucky Rabbit.
the Rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he sold him, but Pat Powers wanted Mickey Mouse.
Mm.
And I love this because it's saying that, he's in the same situation that P.L. Travers
Right.
is in. So it humanizes him even more.
Yeah. That it did.
Yeah. And then we have this kind of almost the climax of the movie, I feel like. Or maybe not the climax, but a turning point in the film where we see the bank song,
Yeah.
which, again, is another terrible song, I think.
You don't like that song?
It just, maybe I like it, but I don't like how it's executed in the movie. It's just so dull and boring.
Oh.
Like, I remember watching that and being like, please end. It's a really long song.
That it is.
Yeah, but I love how it was done in this movie through flashbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, showing your father, yeah.
Yeah. And that, actually, I did like Colin Farrell in that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he did a good job.
Colin Farrell's a good actor.
Name something else he was in.
He was just in Winter's Tale.
Yeah. But I heard
I don't
that
know
wasn't that
myself,
good anyway.
No. And he was in a movie with Keira Knightley.
He was in the reboot of Total Recall, but it was bad, so...
That was a good scene. Very good with Colin Farrell. And then we see P.L. Travers writes him a poem. Or when she's a little girl. I don't know if you guys remember
Yeah,
that.
I do.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great because it's hinting back to her writing career.
Yeah.
It's also saying, because she says the thing about how, why do you have to make Mr. Banks so cruel? He
that's
doesn't
right.
rip up the poem.
Right.
He doesn't
Right.
rip the thing up.
Exactly, you're right. Yeah, she has that little outburst.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was really good. And I think, is it after that where she's building that little fort?
No, because,
Or that's
No,
later.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, I believe that's later.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, that's later. Let's see. Yeah, and then after the scene where the doctor leaves, we see little Helen, Pamela, whatever you want to call her, searching for the alcohol for her father.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm really glad they put that in because it shows how much she loved him. I
Yeah.
guess.
She really loved
Or
her
wanted-
dad.
Yeah. And I actually thought the scene with the mom where she tries to leave.
I was so confused by that.
I know.
I was like, why? What happened?
It was very weird to me.
Yeah, I was like, is your life that miserable? It didn't seem so. Like, he didn't beat her or something weird like that. They were just
Yeah.
broke. Like,
Yeah.
really? You're gonna kill yourself because you're broke? Like,
Yeah, and that was the weird thing. Like, when she just kept walking
Yeah.
and her daughter's going after her and she's, like, halfway in the water and all of a sudden she's, like, snapped out of it. I'm like,
Yeah.
is she in a trance? I don't get
I
that.
was like, was she trying? Like, what was the point? I didn't really understand why.
Right.
Or was she just embarrassed by, what he was doing? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Confused
But-
the heck out of me.
Yeah, I was very confused. I thought it was very out of place.
Yeah, I was like, your mother's terrible. Just putting it out there. But I didn't see it. Did she work at all?
No.
She didn't have a job, so what's she trying to kill herself for? Go get a job.
I know.
I know it's hard at that point, but
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah, it was an odd scene.
Yeah, I didn't get that. It's just unnecessary in my opinion.
Then I do have the scene written here where she's building the fort, and we see Ralph come over to her in the grass, and he helps her build the fort, and he tells her about his handicapped daughter,
Yeah,
and why he likes sunny days,
that was a nice one.
which it was. I really liked that scene.
Very nice scene.
Yeah, it really, that's one of the things I like. Again, how he met her in the middle, where he says, well, this is why I like sunny days.
Yeah.
And he explained it to her.
And she's like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. And it ties in at the end, where she gives him that list.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll get to that. But yeah, that was... Yeah, it's awesome. Oh yeah, and then I have the scene with the mother happens after that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have, again, shows Walt coughing from smoking. And I think that's where he says, where he's on the phone with Travers. Oh yeah, because he calls her asking her why, about the outburst. Yeah. And he coughs and he says he doesn't like people see him smoking. And that's when she says, I think, Eric, she's sickened at visiting his dollar printing machine.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says he's disappointed or something in her.
Yeah.
Because he, like, invites her to come to Disneyland and she refuses.
Yeah.
And she's like, disappointment to the soul is thunderstorm to the air. And he hangs up on her.
That was the best. I was like, hey, not even Walt Disney understands what's going on here.
Yeah.
He just had it off.
I know.
And she's like, what? He hung up on me? Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he really showed her up.
Yeah, she can't even believe that.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's when the real Mary Poppins in her life, in Travers' life, comes to the house to save the father? She seemed to be saving the family.
Yeah. I guess the father, because she came with the medicine.
I thought it was strange that they didn't give her more screen time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
For this character, they were building up for quite a while.
Yeah.
Nothing really came of that.
Yeah, it ended very quickly.
Yeah.
And then that's the part, again, Eric, or was it you, JD? It was one of you guys who said, do you always get everything you want, Walter? And he said, pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Walt Disney.
Because that's... Yeah, exactly.
I get what I want.
Yeah, so they go to Walt Disney World. Or Land. My bad.
Yeah.
Oh, and I don't know if you noticed, but whenever they arrive at Disneyland, and I don't know if Ralph is letting her out or if he's talking to Walt Disney, or there's a part in there whenever he says, oh boy, and it sounds just like Mickey.
Aw.
Like, that's the first thing that popped into my head. I think it was whenever he was talking to Walt, actually, and that would make sense, because that's a cute little throwback of oh boy. And I do wonder, that just brought up a point of, I wonder if Ralph was meant to be like Mickey or a symbol of Mickey, because earlier I mentioned how he had that little pin on that had Mickey on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was supposed to be connected, because he was like the most likable character to her.
Yeah, that's true.
I wonder if he was, and then she kept playing with that stuffed animal, and I wonder if maybe he was supposed to be like a Mickey figure to her as well. I don't know.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I would have never thought of that.
Yeah, I just keep that together in my head there.
I wrote this down, I don't know why, but both Walt and Pamela have had father issues.
Right.
Which again unites them in their cause, I guess you could call it. They're at the theme park, and they're walking through, and that's when Walt makes Pamela ride the Carousel. Yes. Which was another very nice scene.
That it was.
Yeah. And then we see the Let's Go Fly a Kite scene.
That was a good scene.
Which it really was. Yeah. I actually love, they have that in the soundtrack, them singing.
Oh, do they?
And I love listening to it.
It's
nice.
Awesome.
I actually like it better than the actual song in Mary Poppins.
True.
I don't know why, I just do. But then we see, after that scene, we see her very accommodating suddenly.
Yeah.
And you think things are moving in a nice direction, but then they show her father die in the backstory scenes, the flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when she goes to buy pears for her father.
Right,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's when we finally figured it out.
I don't like pears, like, I actually don't.
Yeah.
I love pears. Well, they're okay.
Yeah, I actually don't really like them either.
I can eat them if they're in front of me, but I don't go sorting them out.
Yeah. They're not a very prominent fruit, I don't think. No. But I guess that's a good thing they used it to tie it in, but yeah. And then right after that scene is when it is revealed that they are going to be using animated penguins in a scene.
Dun, 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 dun.
I don't understand why she hated the cartoon so much.
Yeah, that bothered me.
I think it's because...
it's just viewed as kiddish, so...
Exactly. Yeah, it's the perfect way to put it. People... I mean, I know I have a friend who is not really a fan of Disney, and she isn't a fan because she finds animation to be very silly and not worthy of being talked about.
Yeah, which is the worst.
Yeah, I have many friends who feel that way, and I know another one of my friends, I used to work with her, but she has grandchildren, and I told her about this podcast, and she said to me, but those are kids' movies. And, yeah, it is, people do view it that way.
Yeah,
it's very childish.
They just do. It's just, there's nothing you can do about it. It's always the case.
So P.L. Travers says she marches, or storms, really, to Walt Disney's office and tells him that she seduced him with music, but she does not want cartoons. He promised her there would be no cartoons and no animation, and she hands him the contract that she has not signed, and she leaves.
That she does.
For good.
Yeah.
What did you guys think, of that scene when you saw it? Did you feel like, oh, it's not going to work out, even though... Or at least wonder how it would work out?
I wondered how.
Yeah.
I mean, I can honestly say I didn't expect Walt Disney to go to her house, but...
Do you think that was real?
Probably, honestly. I don't see why not.
I think that I heard that really did happen.
See, okay, I want to look that up now, because I thought it was definitely fabricated.
Disney gets what Disney wants, no matter how he's got to do it.
I do believe that. I definitely believe that.
So I felt like that was believable.
Yeah.
To a degree.
Right. Yeah, maybe it didn't exactly happen like that, but he maybe did go to her.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So then we see her leaving and talking to Ralph, and again, a scene I just loved is when she says to him, I just realized I don't know your name, and he tells her Ralph, and she introduces herself as Pamela, which I love because she never gives people a first name basis.
So I was like, character development.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That was great. Yep. And that's where she says, you're the only American I ever liked, Ralph. And he's like, may I ask why? She's like, no.
And I'm like, back to square one.
I wanted to know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I can think is, like we've been saying, is that he met with her, he didn't sugarcoat anything, he was just honest with her, I thought.
That would be the only thing I could think of.
Yeah. And also just for humor's sake.
Yeah.
And then she gives him the list, and I wrote down a few people on the list: Einstein, Van Gogh, and then of course she adds at the end, Walt Disney. We're having a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Or too much energy. And she says, the list of these people is, they all have, difficulties.
Yeah, which was true.
And then exactly, and then she tells him, his daughter's name's Jane, and she says, Jane can do what everyone else can do. You understand. And, which is just wonderful. Yes. I loved that.
Yeah. Interesting, good scene.
It was, yeah. And then he says, thank you, Mrs.
Yeah.
Which I liked. And then obviously we see the plane ticket that Walt Disney sees that says Helen Goff, her real name. And did that surprise you guys at all, when you saw that? Because I know for me I was like,
I think it did.
Yeah, I was kind of like, wait, what?
Yeah.
The plot thickens.
Yeah, exactly. Finally.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Yeah. And then that brings us to the scene where Walt comes to her home in England. And, again, I thought that was kind of imposing of him.
It's Disney.
But, exactly, it's Disney.
It makes sense.
Exactly, it makes sense. And then she says, actually, she doesn't say this, he says this. He says, you probably think I'm a Hollywood King Midas, that your story is a brick in my kingdom, and I am an empire. So along those lines, he says. And, then she responds, which I just love. She says, oh, it's not true that Disney created man in his own image.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to blog about that in my Danielle's Corner section, because that's just brilliant. I love it. But then he talks about, and this is a true story as well, about how he delivered newspapers in the snow.
Yeah, and he does have a big brother named Roy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He has, I think he's the youngest out of...
Oh, he's the youngest? No.
He's the youngest. I think he has 3 older brothers. And I know one of their names was Raymond. I remember that because that's my dad's name.
Roy E. Disney, yeah. Because he took over the company after he died.
Right, yeah.
He did,
for a little while.
Yeah, I forget the other...
And then he died, so...
Yeah, exactly. And I think he might have had a sister, but I'm not sure. But But I just read a little biography on Disney when he was younger, and his father was this really uptight religious man who, I think he might have been a pastor at a church, but then they moved and they didn't have the religious sect that they were a part of in their area, so they didn't go to church much, but he was still really strict and with the kids, and so this really does fit historically with Disney's background. He was forced to deliver newspapers, but I don't know if you guys know, but I don't think his father owned the newspaper company. I think it was just a job.
No, probably not.
Because I felt like they made it seem like in this movie, like it was a newspaper that the Disney family produced.
No, I'm pretty sure.
No, I think they said that, yeah.
Did they? Yeah, I thought so too, but I don't think that's accurate. But then Disney says, well, first he says, a quote that I wrote down, he was too cold and wet to figure out equations, because he would have to go to school right after he delivered these papers. And I thought that was interesting because not the point of the movie, but it talks about the education system and why kids sometimes can't learn the same as other children.
Wasn't he dyslexic?
I don't know.
Yeah, that I'm not sure about.
I know he had issues in school, I know.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive, but for that reason, obviously. I mean, there could be many other reasons, but yeah, I'm just glad that they put that in there, because it definitely is a little comment on the education system.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was intended, but
probably not,
it's there.
But...
Yeah, probably not. But then he says, I'm tired of remembering the tale that way, when he thinks about his father and how he was sort of a bit of a nasty man, and just his childhood didn't sound very pleasant, and he wants to make it happy with his movies, and he wants to give a happy life to things that were sad, and he doesn't want to have a life dictated by the past, which was very nice. And think of The Lion King.
Yeah, I was like, that is my childhood right there, so...
Oh, man.
I mean, without that, shoot. I don't even know.
I know. And then, let's see. Well, then she signs the papers at the table across from Mickey. And then it goes, I think, when did the movie come out? 64?
1964.
Okay. Yeah,
and Walt Disney died the next year.
I know, yeah, that's
just
that's
weird.
tragic.
Yeah.
That is weird. But it's kind of good because I know Mary Poppins was the story he always really wanted to tell in movie form. But he doesn't invite Travers to the premiere, which I found, again, to be necessary because it's Disney, but very, again, manipulative.
True.
Because I don't know if...
I mean, I don't know if I would have done anything differently had I been him.
No.
Yeah. I think, well, he did it, obviously, because he didn't want bad press.
Yeah.
From her. Yeah. But then she obviously comes over and she's like, yo, you tried to fool me. Well, you didn't. That's all there is to it. But then, yeah. Then they have the premiere, and I think it's at the Chinese theater.
Yeah, the one MGM is modeled after.
Yeah. Exactly,
yeah. They have it in MGM or Hollywood Studios, where the Great Movie Ride is.
Yeah.
It's the outside. And I love how during the film she rolls her eyes and stuff a lot.
Yeah.
I loved the ending because I love that when she was walking down the carpet and it was kind of in slow motion and you had all the characters around and the music playing. I loved how it kind of echoed the mood of her walking and how it transitioned. And then when it got to Feed the Birds, they showed a picture of the Mr. Banks in the frame. And that, I was like, I cried during this ending.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I think I teared a little bit when it went into Feed the Birds, like real slow. And it showed that picture of their portrayal. And I teared. And then as soon as Mickey escorted her in, I was a mess. I was a crying mess in this theater.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good scene. I love it.
I love that they did that. And her reactions whenever she's watching the movie and the bits and pieces that they cut together, and then when they go between the movie and her memories mixed with her reactions. Again, I was a mess. And when she's crying and Walt kind of goes behind her, he's like, "No, it's okay. He gets saved." And
even in like the scene where it shows the children saying, "Our father doesn't like us anymore," and Dick Van Dyke's saying, "Oh no," which was actually a really beautiful scene.
Yeah.
But she's crying, and Disney's like, "Oh, Pamela, it's okay. It's okay." And she's like, "No, I think she says something like, "No, I just all the animation," or something. I forget what she says.
I just
but
can't stand the cartoons.
Yeah, something like that. But I thought that was funny.
And just his face was just like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
And like in that moment, you really understood everything how much that meant to her, and how much that story meant to her, and and all of her reservations and hesitation made complete sense.
Right.
And the way that they wrapped it, I think it made everything make sense, and it made you understand things more, and it made you go back in your mind and remember certain moments. Like, oh, that just comes together so well now. Because I think it really solidified her whole hesitation. And even at the beginning, I'm sure many people didn't like her that much, or they thought she was unlikable or whatever, but here, I don't know how you couldn't, after understanding all that and watching her growth.
Right, yeah.
I love that. I love the ending. I thought I don't know how else they would have ended it that would have worked out well. I loved it.
Well, it brings up a really good point, too, that, like, they wanted you the entire movie. She seems like this bitter woman, and they really want you, I think, by the end to sympathize with her, if you didn't to begin with.
Yeah, they humanized her so much at the end, and you understood everything she went through, and everything that she went through, preventing him from changing it or making it different than how she wanted it. And you kind of forgave her. You forgave all her changes and all her like just brick wall attitude. And
yeah,
it really it brought it together so well. And you just gotta leave the theater and be like, "Aw, that was so good, that ending."
Exactly, and it brings it full circle almost. So yeah, that was a really good ending. Really enjoyed it.
I'm glad you agree. I wondered how you'd think about the ending, but
yeah,
I loved it.
Yes, it was amazing. I did cry at the part when it shows Dick Van Dyke telling the kids that their father's a good man.
Yes, I cried there. Yes, especially there.
Yeah.
In that moment, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of feel like crying now, actually.
I know.
Yeah.
I just got the chills a little bit when you said that, because I remember.
Yeah, it's such a good scene.
Oh.
The whole scene, yeah, so good.
Yes, that whole thing. Ever since when Mickey escorted her in, that was it. That was it for me. That was fun.
I wonder, or I kind of wish they would have made that whole Mary Poppins medley of instrumentals available to download, because it's not on the soundtrack.
Oh, I love that. That would be amazing. I really love, the whole music of it transitioning the different songs and little bits and pieces, and her looking over and seeing everybody in front of the camera and the publicity and everything that they're getting from it. And she's just so quiet and just like a bystander and just walking through. And meanwhile, it's hers. Like, this wouldn't exist. Even how Ralph says this wouldn't exist without her.
Yeah.
And she's just so invisible, and she just goes right in and no one even notices. Like, that's so Hollywood.
Exactly.
The person that does it, and it's made from, they're invisible, but everyone else, all the movie stars and that, they get all the attention. I just love that whole ending. I'm just so glad they did it that way.
Yeah, they did it perfectly. Yeah, that's the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we get the credits with pictures from the real event.
Now, I know they said that I hear she wasn't happy in real life with the way it turned out, whereas in the movie it seemed kind of ambiguous. Kind of like maybe she did, maybe she didn't. So I guess they can't paint themselves in too negative a light.
Right.
But yeah, I was like, oh, that was interesting. Didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right. And there's a book. I actually just bought it. And I read reviews on it, and they bring up Saving Mr. Banks in almost every one of them, it seems like, where they're like, this is so different from Saving Mr. Banks. It's called Mary Poppins, She Wrote, The Life of P.L. Travers. I have a feeling that they'll probably talk about what JD just said, how she didn't like the film.
Right.
And they'll probably talk about her childhood in a very different way, I'm gonna guess.
Probably, yeah.
I would like to know what really happened in her childhood.
Yeah, I would.
And yeah. But I do like how they incorporated what they did create.
It's very well done.
They took artistic liberty.
Yeah. You have
That's
to.
good. You do. You're
You can't
right.
make a film
You have
with
to.
real facts
Yeah.
all the time.
No.
It wouldn't be entertaining, first off.
Yeah.
You'd be like, man, this short is boring, because real life kind of isn't that exciting.
And it's just not the... It's not the place.
Yeah.
It's not the type of movie that they can do.
Yeah, that's what autobiographies
are
for, really.
Yeah,
So just go
exactly.
watch one of those.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay, so I think it's time for our zippity doodah moment. Well, okay, so we'll start with JD this time, since you're always last.
I know, right? What's going on?
Yeah. We'll give you the floor.
Okay, let's see. My zippity doodah moment for this movie. I'm trying to think. I mean, there's a lot of good moments, but I'd have to say it's where I guess Ginty, when she's a kid and she's talking to her father, and she's like, I want to be just like you when I grow up, and then he's just like, don't. It's just like, it's so, like, man, just hits you right in the gut. Because, she loves him so much that she just wants to be just like him, but she has no idea, what he's, because he has, 2 faces, really. The one he puts on for his kids and then his real one, which everybody does. When they're a certain age, everybody does that. But it's just like, wow, she literally has no clue what is going on. And it's fascinating to me.
It is, yeah, that's a really good scene. Yeah. So.
And it's well done.
Yeah.
It is. Okay, Jen, tell us your zippity doodah moment.
Okay. It was kind of hard for me to choose because there's so many really good moments where you just kind of get goosebumps, or a line here or an image there. It was really hard to choose, so I kind of have a couple.
That's
but
okay.
my number one is whenever Walt goes to her home in England, and when he sits down with the tea and stuff, and he has this big monologue about him and everything, but that's not, I have to pick a specific moment, is whenever he convinces her that George Banks will be saved, and in quotes, when he says George Banks will be honored, George Banks will be redeemed, those two, the way he delivered them, I loved it. It cemented his whole monologue. Those were the key lines. I think that, and part of whenever he says, maybe not in life, but in imagination, that's what dreamers do. We restore order with imagination.
Yes.
Loved. Favorite line, favorite moment. Those two little lines right there.
That is perfect. I love that quote.
Yes. And then my runner-up was Mickey escorting her in. I just can't. That's just too perfect for me. The whole backup with her and the stuffed animal, when she goes to get him and sleeps with him. That's my third runner-up. But because I just liked how the fake stuffed animal Mickey kept appearing throughout, and she kept having different feelings toward him, and sometimes she'd let him in and stuff, and I just felt that was so fitting to have, the real, in quotes, the real Mickey escorting her in to her film. That was beautiful, but that's the second choice. First choice has to be those first couple lines that I mentioned. They're perfect lines, and the way he delivers them are just, they stop you in your tracks. You gotta listen to it. They're amazing.
Right, and actually, if you think about it, those lines in itself almost, show Disney in this light of when people criticize him for what he does with certain stories, but he's just imagining things and recreating them in the way he envisioned them. And I think that's what he does with Mary Poppins.
That's exactly what I think these couple lines were meant to be. Not only for her and to convince her, it was also to kind of tell the audience that's what he is too. Right. And they went so many ways. He says we restore order with imagination. Mary Poppins is all about restoring order, and he does it with imagination, and that's him. And I just love that. That can go so many different ways.
Oh yeah, it's so good. Oh man.
Yeah, and then maybe not in life, but in imagination, because he's already gone. Oh, love it. Oh, I just love that whole part.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. What about you, Eric?
I think mine is when they're dancing to "Let's Go Fly a Kite."
Oh,
I just like the music. Oh, I took yours.
That's okay.
Yeah. I just think I just like the music. I really identified with them composing the music, and so I always enjoyed all the scenes where they were composing the music, and I really liked that one.
That's a really good scene. Okay, well, I feared somebody would take my choice, so I got a second choice.
Alternative choices.
Yes. Yeah. I chose the scene where, at the end, when she's about to go into the airport with Ralph, and they introduce themselves to each other, and she gives him the list and says all these people had difficulties. Jane can do what everyone else can do.
That's a good scene.
I really like that scene.
It's a very good scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey guys, Danielle here for a quick update. You might be noticing that Jen is coming into the conversation sporadically, and it doesn't seem to be flowing very well, and you will also notice that she will not be participating in our game. The reason being is that her connection was bad, and so you will not hear her in the game, but you will certainly hear her throughout the rest of our conversation in the episode. So that's just a warning in case you wondered, hey, why didn't Jen give her answer during the game? Because she had disconnected, and it took a little while for her to come back, but she did get her zippity-doo-dah moment and get to answer the question of the week. So, yeah, that's my message to you. Now back to the show. Okay, so now it's time for our game. And Eric, you're our game person.
Yes. Yeah. So we talked about, at least I did, about how Walt Disney, I think that would have really liked, and he would have not had anybody else play him in the movie except for Tom Hanks, and I really thought that Tom Hanks was the best decision for that part and did an extremely good job of portraying Walt Disney. So the game is, we're going to go around and we're going to say, who of anybody would you want to play? If you had a movie about you and your life, who would you want to play you? And pick two other people that you know, like a friend or a family member, and who would you want them to be played by?
Oh
and
my
so,
gosh.
That's hard.
I'll start.
Okay, yeah, you start.
And I'm going to say that I would be played by Shia LaBeouf. I would have my dad would be played by Tom Hanks, because he actually really looked like him when he was in college.
Nice.
And my grandfather, which if you knew him, you would know he has the exact same sense of humor as this guy, would be played by Joe Pesci.
Ooh,
nice.
Okay. I like that.
Actually, yeah, I'm gonna go with Joe Pesci. Yeah.
Very nice.
Okay, alright.
Okay, I'm gonna have to think about this.
Alright, I'll go then, if you're still thinking. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still thinking, go ahead.
Let's see. If I could, someone to play me, I'd want, that's tough. You know what? I'd say I'm gonna split them in two. For young me, I'd get Jaden Smith, and for older me would be Will Smoof.
Oh god,
that's a really good.
It has to be. I'm like, who else could play me? It's gotta be Will Smoof. Yeah, I said Will Smooth.
Will Smooth. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Will
wow,
Smith.
That's a really good choice.
I like Will Smith. And then let's see. For my dad, who would I get for my? Let's see. Yeah, would it be my dad? Yeah, let's go with my dad. That's
James Harvey, his Uncle Phil in Fresh Prince.
Oh yeah, he was.
No.
R.I.P.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he just.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna have to be for him to be awesome. So I'd say Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh god, that's actually
That's the best combination of people.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
That would be good. That would be good.
That would. Wow, that's
I
great.
like it.
That's epic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Oh man.
I guess I have one more, don't I? Yeah. All right. So I'll go with.
I'll go
with my mom, I guess. Who would I get to play my mom? Let's see. That's actually pretty hard. Who do I get for that? You know what? I'm gonna skip her, and I'm gonna go.
You do somebody else.
I'm thinking. You know what? I might have to take back Will Smith for me and say Chris Tucker might play a better version of me.
Oh, okay. Very nice.
He might play
Chris
a better version of me. Let's see, and I'll choose one of my friends, Ed, and who would I get to play him? You know what? Just to make it hilarious, Jackie Chan. So we'd have a Rush Hour reunion going on here.
Yeah, right.
That's pretty epic, actually.
It'd be awesome.
That is awesome. Okay. I'm having a hard time, but for me, I think I'd want the actress Emmy Rossum to play me. I don't know if you guys have heard of her.
Emma Rossum?
She's Emmy Rossum.
Oh, okay.
She's in Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, yeah, she was in Dragon Ball Evolution. Oh.
Yeah, terrible movie. But awesome actress.
Yeah, very good
I love
actress.
her. But yeah, terrible movie. And then I'm gonna copy off Eric a little bit. For my brother, I'd pick Shia LaBeouf during his Even Stevens years.
Not the now years. I don't think you want those.
Yeah. And then I'm having a hard time with the last person.
Or you do like a friend or something.
Do Jen, since she's not here.
Jen? Okay. Ooh. Okay. I think for Jen, one just popped in my head, but it left. Oh, good. Okay. I've got one for her. I will do Jen. I have a perfect one. She'll love this. Erica Durance. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's from Smallville.
Who'd she play?
Lois Lane.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think she kind of looks like Jen, so they kind of look alike. Cool.
Okay.
Very
That's
good
the game, yeah.
That was fun.
A good one.
I liked it.
Yeah, very good.
Okay, so for our question of the week, we're going to go back to Eric. Okay, so before we go to this week's question of the week, let's recap last week's question of the week. And I came up with that question, and I asked you guys, how do you think Walt Disney would like computer animation in the new Renaissance? Would he embrace it as new technology that he so often loved, or would he reject it and stick to traditional animation, or both? So, I guess, well, for this time I think I'll go first, if that's okay. You guys.
Okay.
I personally, from a personal level, I'm not a huge fan of computer animation. I enjoy it, but it's not my style. Like, I'd rather it be traditional. But for Walt Disney, I think a lot of times people, because they don't like the CGI, they'll say, oh, Disney wouldn't like it either. Right. But I actually think he would like it. He was very much about moving forward and using new technology. And I think he would really embrace it.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that, because if you look at, like, we were just talking about, look at Mary Poppins, they did animation with live action. That was one of the first movies. I know they had Song of the South, but that one, Mary Poppins was really one of the first notable movies to do that. Though he was always looking for innovative ways to do it, and I mean, he made the first ever animated feature-length movie, so he seems to like innovative things and innovative ways. I agree. I personally would rather stay with the classic style. I mean, I like Wreck-It Ralph. I don't have any problem with it, but I would prefer the older style.
Right? Yeah, I would agree with that.
Wreck-It Ralph, it works a little better because it's video games, so
right, so it's supposed to look like that anyway.
So it works, but other stuff, 2D.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people will compare that to Pixar. Like when you say, "Oh, it's okay for Pixar to do it," which I kind of feel like it is. Yeah. But for Disney, I really do wish.
Pixar invented it.
Exactly.
Yeah, they paved the way for that.
Exactly, and I mean, I know Disney, a lot of times, I know when Home on the Range came out, that's when it did so terrible that people were or Disney was like, okay, well, because it did so terrible, that must mean that we need to do what everybody else is doing, which is CGI. And that's when they went into CGI for good.
They can't admit they made something bad.
Yeah, and DreamWorks was also doing that at the same time, because I guess they had their last animated feature with Sinbad, I think.
Oh, I forgot about that movie.
And like it just did so poor, and I think somebody at the studio said like 2D animation is dead.
Right.
And from then on, all I remember is just, CG movies until Princess and the Frog, so...
Okay, I was gonna bring up Epcot, because all Walt's mission in life right before he died was Epcot. Like, that was his project. That was his life project. And it was all about futuristic and what could be new and different. And, I mean, I think Walt would have invented the new CGI if he could. Maybe he would even have done it sooner. maybe he would have invented something else. I mean, he is all about innovation. There's a section at Epcot called Innovation,
right.
because that's what he does. And so, yeah, there's no way he would avoid the new wave of things, even if he invented it earlier for himself or even something different. I mean, something would have changed. He wouldn't have stayed with the old stuff.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's a really good point that you bring up Epcot, because that entire theme park is about moving forward.
Yeah, and progress. I mean, Carousel of Progress. That's like to bring it back to my theme park corner about Carousel of Progress.
That's right.
That's what he does.
Yep.
It was all about progress.
Yep.
His main word in life was progress. Like, he didn't stick with Disneyland because he wanted to do more and he couldn't do more, so he went to Florida and progressed more and did what he did, but did it better, and went one step further and made one thing longer or changed something, because progress was, he would never stay with regular animation, ever.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what makes Disney so great, the fact that he did always go all out for what he did. And doesn't he say a quote that, like, Disney World will never be completed, it's always growing?
Exactly. He said that as long as you have, as long as we have an imagination and people to do it, it will never be complete or something like that. Yeah. As long as people are constantly creating, Walt Disney World will never be complete.
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And I'm sure he felt that way with everything, including the animation style.
Right.
So.
And if you think about it, the animation that he did do was sort of ahead of its time. So he already was doing this and we don't even realize it.
I know, and I do wonder though, like, what would he have thought up? Maybe he would have thought up something else or some other method that never even got invented.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
He was sort of a genius. I mean, just his brain activity, just how much he completed in his life. I
mean, he had such an imagination.
Exactly. I mean,
like, the sky was the limit for him, and even then I don't think it was. I think he kept going. Past the sky. The space was his limit. Like, he kept going.
No, yeah, it's totally true. It really was, because he just always, I mean, as the movie said, he just always did what he wanted because he thought, well, if I want to do it, let's go for it. And, I mean, that is kind of a good motto, no matter how imposing it is. I think it's awesome.
What a good attitude, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, and he didn't have any limitations, and, like, he just let his mind go. He never worried about the engineering or if it's possible. He just went up to his Imagineers and said, I want this, figure it out.
Exactly.
And they did. And they did figure it out, and that's how new things got invented.
Exactly. Yeah, you're totally right. Because if you think about it, people are like, oh, well, the people who work for Disney are only in it for the money. Well, that's not really true, considering all they've done. They are really smart people. They've accomplished a lot. So.
Yeah, and to kind of bring it to the parks, which I do frequently, there's a guy named Joe Road. I'm sure you know who that is. Maybe?
Is he... I'm probably totally wrong, but is he the guy with the big earrings?
Yes, he's in charge of Animal Kingdom. Like, that is his park. He designed it, he engineers it, he's Animal Kingdom is his baby, basically. And he has that same thought as Walt, I think. I mean, the way he thinks up his ride and designs, he just goes out to the stratosphere with his ideas. Things that would never even be possible, he still imagines them and wants them done. And he reminds me of Disney in a way, and I'm glad he's kind of like a follower of him, and he keeps that going, except the new Imagineers and the new company and management are like, we don't have the money for that. We can't do that. And they don't do it. They don't do his ideas, or they water them down for affordable or whatever reason. But he does have the mind for it. Just the resources ain't there to back him up anymore, like they used to back up Walt Disney.
Right. That's a shame.
Yeah, because he could do it. I mean, he is so good at thinking up things like that. He has no boundaries. He will think up anything and make it amazing. And so not profitable and not plausible. And I mean, even with Expedition Everest and the Yeti, he thought that up, and he had more ideas and bigger ideas, and that was the biggest animatronic they've ever in the history of ever, and the most complex animatronic, and that was his thing. I mean, he built that, and that was his idea, and he said, I want something this big, this huge, inside a mountain that moves this fast, and they're like, you can't do that. That's never been done. And he's like, well, make it happen.
Exactly.
And so he has that, and I do love that about him. And I don't know very many others that are still related to Disney or into the parks that have that no boundaries attitude.
And he seems very prominent because every time I watch like a documentary on Disney World or Disneyland, he's usually on it in some way, shape, or form.
Probably talking about Animal Kingdom.
Probably, yeah.
That's his thing, yeah.
Yeah, he's on a lot.
Yeah, because he's so passionate about creating things and exploring new things and building new unexpected things.
See, that's really great to hear.
Love. Yeah, I love that. I just wish that management and economic people would agree.
Yeah, I know. That's the bad thing. It always comes back to money, and it sort of has to, but
with Walt Disney, it somehow didn't.
Exactly. Like as we talked about with Snow White, he went way over budget with that. He mortgaged his house. I mean, and I'm pretty sure like some of his animators mortgaged their houses as well. I just heard that the other day.
I think so, yeah.
But
see, I don't know if we'll ever see that again because you might have the minds for it, but you don't have the support system and the just give it all up and see what happens attitude.
So kind of like less of a family now.
Yeah, it's more business related.
Yeah. Which is a shame, but hopefully they'll find or go back to their roots.
Maybe, hopefully one day.
Yeah. And now it's time for our question of the week.
Okay, so for the question of the week, what other Disney movie would you want to see a movie made about the story of the making of that movie, just like Saving Mr. Banks?
Very good.
You know what? I already got an idea for that, so I'll have to hold on to that.
Seriously, that's a really good question.
That was quick.
Okay, so that ends our show. If you want to keep in the loop of this podcast, the place to be is our website, where we have all of our links and information in our corner posts. And so our website is www.talkmagictome.com, and that's the number 2. And be sure, I know it's kind of weird, but be sure to put the www because the website won't load without it. I don't really know how to fix that. I don't know if you guys know how to fix that.
No.
But I've tried, I've failed, so yeah, be sure to put the www. You can download this episode and our previous episodes via Podomatic and iTunes. Again, those links are on our website. We also have a SoundCloud account. And as we announced last week, we're making a little bit of changes to that. We're only going to post our current episode on there. And then past episodes will be posted to our YouTube channel. And again, all those links are on our website. We're doing that because SoundCloud does not... It's mostly made for artists making music, not really for podcasts or long podcasts like ours. So only allows 120 minutes of space, of recorded space, and we don't have the money to pay for an account just yet. So that's why we're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just being honest with you guys, that's all. Yeah, so only our current episodes will be posted there. And anything else, visit our YouTube page. And also go to Podomatic. You can get, I forget what the app's called, but you can get an app if you're an Android user, where you can get iTunes sort of on your phone. You can download iTunes podcasts, so you can also do that, or through Podomatic through your phone. And if you liked this show and our previous shows, please, please, please go over to iTunes and rate us with those magical 5 stars, because when you wish upon 5 stars, your dreams will come true in the form of this podcast.
Yeah.
I didn't mess it up this time.
No.
You didn't.
I'm proud of myself.
You did good.
Thank you.
I'm impressed.
I'm bowing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so please rate us. If you liked us, please rate us, because Those ratings help us a lot. It will help recommend people to our podcast, so yeah, be sure to go over and do that. It helps us with the nice feedbacks. It makes us smile, you know? It just makes us smile to hear from you guys. And we will read these reviews on our podcast. So be sure to leave them. And apart from iTunes, please don't hesitate to send us feedback in other ways. Please send us your zippity-doo-dah moments. Really, next week, I mean, you can still send us your Frozen zippity-doo-dah moments, and we will certainly read them next time. But yeah, please send us those. Please answer our question of the week through our website, tweet at us, write to us on Facebook, on Tumblr. We're all over the place, so don't hesitate to contact us. We will most definitely respond and feature you on the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Exactly. And let us know how we're doing as well in your feedback. And your feedback means a lot to us because, as I said earlier, this podcast, even though there's us 4 hosts on here, is a collective. We do really value your opinions. And they matter to this podcast. They help discussion. Or they will help discussion when we read them. Okay, so if you have an opinion on a topic we discussed, send it to us. We may just read it on the show, and it's a lot more rewarding way to interact than, say, an angry YouTube comment or something, you know? Much more healthy this way. I love Eric. So yeah, please send us that feedback because we love it. And yeah, that's basically it. That'll do it for this episode. I think that's it. Is there anything I'm missing?
No, that's it.
I don't think so. Okay, so that'll do it for this episode of Talk Magic to Me. Next week's episode, again, we'll be talking about Frozen again. So be sure to listen to that and look out for that. So yeah, from all of us at Talk Magic to Me, I'm Danielle.
I'm Prince Eric.
And I'm DJ JD, signing out.
Talk to you guys next time.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye. It's Apple. Okay, I'm gonna send this to you guys to see if you can pronounce it. Hold on. Sakura.
Sakuraholic XOXO.
Sakuraholic.
Sakura.
Is that a ship name? Or something?
Maybe.
No, well, Sakura is a tree.
So holic of a tree. Okay.
I thought when you said ship.
Treeaholic.
Yeah.
When you said ship, I just thought of an actual sailing ship.
Ship
Is that a ship?
Wow. Okay.
Jeez.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
That's a
I don't
bad
know
thing.
either.
It's a bad thing.
Okay, so say that again. Sakuraholic.
Sakuraholic.
So did I actually say this was a Saving Mr. Banks episode yet?
No.
I don't think I have. Okay.
No.
I didn't think so.
Spoilers.
Well, I'm gonna cut that part out, or it'll be a blooper.
No.
So,
Good one.
Yeah.
Spoiling everything. Jeez.
Whatever. It's okay.
Just let
I
it
can pull it
flow.
off. Let it go.
Let it go.
Oh no.
Let it flow.
Don't you start this
Let it
here.
flow.